able to get to the panel last night?
I was at the Yankee game, I'm afraid. You know, as a divided loyalties. I apologize for that. But
well, standing room only.
I'm glad to hear it. We're talking with Jeff Krell. Here are some of the books he has right now. I know you're working on Jayson Gets a Job, right?
I am. Where did you hear about that?
Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, I'm doing graphic novels now based on these characters I created in the 80s that were published originally in the Philadelphia Gay News and then in Gay Comics and in Meat Men for a long time. And these collections, the 80s and the 90s, we published 5 years ago. So well received that the only negative feedback I got was, oh, there are no new stories in here. And I love my characters and I wanted to tell more of their story. So I brought them into the 21st century with my first graphic novel called Jayson Goes to Hollywood.
Right.
It's told in the same incremental 6-page story format, except now I call them chapters. And it gave me an opportunity to work on a larger canvas and plot it all out and have a B and C story. So I love my supporting characters. Jayson lives with this fabulous woman named Arena Stage. And I never got to give her a solo story, so she was the first person. The second story in the book has her above the title. So this one did so well that I'm doing a follow-up. It's called Jayson Gets a Job. It's a timely tome because, you know, Jayson
I'm looking for a job,
exactly. Many people are. Jayson is an underemployed liberal arts graduate, as is Arena, who he lives with. They met in college. And so they've been struggling for years with not only finding boyfriends, but also finding a job. And so more and more people are relating to that plight, I'm sorry to say. So the next book is going to focus on that, not only Jayson getting several jobs in the course of the book and settling on one, but also Arena being cut off by her parents and having to get a job, any job, to survive, which will be a change of pace for her because she's kind of a princess. And Robin Ricketts, who lives next door, he's the drag queen / pornographer. His DVD business is in the toilet.
Of course, thank you, thanks to way to go.
Exactly. So he's considering his career options as well. And I'll give you a hint. If you've read the previous stories, you know that somewhere around 1990, when he was doing well in the business, he bought the building that they all live in at the corner of 13th and Pine, where Dirty Frank's used to actually exist in Philadelphia. It was an actual setting. There is still a 13th and Pine in Philadelphia, but Dirty Frank's is no longer there.
But you can make a pilgrimage there if you want to.
So, when Robin bought the building, it was to be a landlord and to make money off the renters. But with it came Dirty Frank's. And he's never done anything with the bar until now. Hint, hint. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Cool. Well, you're here at ComicCon, New York City.
I am. My first time at the New York ComicCon.
What other ones have you gone to, and how does it compare? San Diego.
San Diego is bigger and more of an emphasis on Hollywood. I like the emphasis on comics here. And the exciting thing for me is that not only is it my first time here, but I got to moderate the LGBT panel last night, that we weren't sure what was going to happen and who would come. I had a stunning array of panelists. Howard Cruz, I got to come down here. I had Tim Fish, I had Tim Petrowski, Joan Hilty, Abby Denson, Dan Parent from Archie Comics, who created Kevin Keller.
Right.
And I like to think of Jayson as the spiritual godfather to Kevin Keller.
He would be like a mentor.
That's right, because, you know, when I created Jayson, it was because I loved Archie Comics but never saw myself or my friends represented in the strip. And so I wanted to tell my story in that style.
And it has to feel crazy to see it happening in Archie Comics.
I never thought it would happen in my lifetime.
Right.
So I'm thrilled. I'm so inspired. And the Archie Comics people love me because I promote the hell out of them. I tell everyone, you know, Veronica 202 that introduced Kevin sold out.
Right.
They're doing a reprinting, and they just announced a Kevin Keller miniseries. So the next step is for them to hire me to write Kevin authentically, because I've walked in Kevin's shoes. I've been a gay teenager. So we're working on that. I have nothing to announce yet, but all signs point north.
Oh, good. Well, tell us about the panel last night. It was standing room only, you said. It was full house.
But we weren't sure who, if anyone, would come. There's always that risk. But we got there, and the line was around the block. and the space filled up. There was standing room only. I found out afterwards that some people weren't even able to get in. There's apparently a tremendous gay comics group here in New York that turned out in full support. Did I mention everyone who was on the panel?
I think so, yeah.
And Joan Hilty, did I mention her?
Yeah, you mentioned Joan.
Okay. I think I got everybody.
What were some of the revelations from the panel, or anything come up that you hadn't heard before? You've talked to these people and done panels with them, so what were the questions from the audience or the tenor? It was just exciting to see the...
Well, it was very positive. People, I would say most of the people in the room knew most of the panelists by name anyway, and so they were just introducing them. I think we got 10 rounds of applause, and I think it was applause for the fact that they're doing that, and some of them, like Howard Cruz, have been doing it for so long. They really are pioneers who made it possible for someone like Kevin Keller to be in a mainstream comic. When Howard started doing what he was doing, nobody was doing it. There were no out cartoonists. There were no cartoonists telling gay stories. And he really was one of the reasons that the underground scene became what it was and created a fertile ground for all of us to play in. Howard was really the first wave. I came along in kind of the second wave. And now we have younger cartoonists coming along. It wouldn't occur to them to censor themselves or to not tell stories that are relevant to their lives. We've seen the mainstreaming of gay comics and gay stories, gay characters in mainstream comics. We had a wonderful array on the panel of people who work independently, people who work in the mainstream. Oh, Phil Jimenez.
Oh, right. You didn't mention him. That's right.
Because he works for Marvel and DC, and he's out. And his sensibility informs what he does, but certainly most of the characters he works on are straight.
Right.
Although, anyone who puts on superhero drag,